Hello. Are you in a?
I think I'm in a better connection here now.
Yeah, that sounds better.
I'm just pulling into the near Colville here, so I should have a better signal.
Sounds good.
So anyway, I mean, I know you don't know me, and I understand your frustration because I feel about real estate developers to go in and do things that are more for residential development. They mess up a lot of things, and people who think they know how to do fish habitat, they end up screwing things up. But um, we've been at this a long time, but we don't always do things perfect. So we actually brought in two different hydrologists that don't even know each other, and just to get multiple points of opinion, because this is a big project, and our interests are solely to improve fishing. This is a fishing deal. So
Oh,
anyway,
I was
hopefully it works out and benefits everybody.
right. I was under the impression there would be hunting and things like that also, but whatever it takes, and I understand this situation and what's going on, and like I say, I'm just concerned about people downstream, and people that aren't involved with the project. And
Yeah.
if we have this transparency that we've all been talking about in this country, and permits are taken out and permits are followed and things are followed, then it's all going to work out anyway. I mean, you know as well as I do that I'm just one little guy, and I can be steamrolled like a little bug. So it doesn't. It's like a fly in the ointment. But at the same time, there are things that are in place, and you know what they are. They're red tape. They're the Corps of Engineers. I've done a lot of Corps of Engineer work. I've been in construction for 35 years. I've seen how things work, and it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, I do want to give you the benefit of the doubt, but you mentioned the family and things like that, and I can really appreciate that. And the Van Noy family was here dealing with the Indians and the Gypsies, in this when there was nobody here. That doesn't entitle me to shit. That doesn't entitle me to anything. We all have to get along in this world, and I understand who you are and what your name is, but nobody gets a free pass, And just in case you're wondering, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I'm an American, and I'm sick to death of all the bullshit going on. And we can't make much of a difference anymore on the federal level, but we can sure fight our battles locally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get that. So if you have any problems, call me. I understand you visited with the Corps called me and the Game of Fish called me, and now you have my number. Call me because if you got a problem, we'll talk about it. I can't guarantee the contractors are going to be perfect. They have the plans, they have the design. We're going to have hydrologists on site that are going to do everything and follow. But it's how it is. You've been in the construction world, and but our intentions are to benefit everybody. And these are the people that are I mean, Orvis has put in hundreds of thousands of dollars of making fishing better for everybody in Star Valley. And I don't want to cause these people any problem either. You know what I'm saying? So call me instead of calling them, and we'll get along really well.
Oh, sure, and I'm more than willing to help make sure that things go right. But see, I didn't know any of this to start with, and like I say, I've trusted people before and been screwed heavily, and
We know the process. That's why everything was permitted before we started. Um, this isn't our first rodeo. The head contractor has been doing work for Orvis for 20 years. and it really is good. Understands hydrology and what makes good fisheries. And his name's Tommy Johnson. And so,
Yeah,
I mean, I definitely understand your concerns, but
well,
I think when it's all said and done,
well, I've heard that name before too, and I've also been upstream of the bridge on Flat Creek, and I've also seen some major damage done in there with holes being dug out, and the Browns don't even go in there. In fact, I went several times up in that area, and there were no fish in there after somebody had gone in and dug the holes out, to make them bigger, deeper, or whatever, and it just totally screwed it. Now, I don't care who it was that did that digging and excavating in that creek, but it didn't do it any good, and it was obvious.
Well, you're talking about Terry Tittenser's work up there. The landowner that's doing this project just bought this about 4 months ago.
Right.
And so it had nothing to do with any of that. Terry went up there and dug holes. The problem is the people dig holes too deep. The pool, and the game official will tell you this, needs to be about 4 or 5 feet deep. They don't need to be 15 feet deep. What that does is just bring suckers in.
Right.
And Browns will go sit down there sometimes. You think we're going to catch them because they're sitting down there too deep.
Oh yeah,
that's what happened.
They just lay in there.
What happened on DeLand Lanehart's property. When they dug that out 20 years ago, that's before they really understood all the hydrology and stuff. They dug those pools too deep, and DeLand's property doesn't fish like the way it should fish.
Right.
But, there's a lot that are, they've learned a lot. Everybody's learned a lot in the last 20 years, but, we're going off the latest school of thought with these hydrologists and the experience Orvis has. And, Tommy didn't dig any of those things that you're talking about, but he's done a lot of pools up in the Upper Valley on Orvis's property and down there in the Etna area where, there's private spring creeks, and those places all fish phenomenally. I mean, I can personally attest to that.
Right.
So,
well, and like I say, all this information makes me feel better, but, right off the bat, it's hard to know where to go when there really isn't a transparency. I mean, I even talked to, who is it, Marlo Sherbel, and he referred me to you, which I understand and all that, but if we're talking about transparency and everything's on the up and up, then my questions about these permits are well justified. There's another permit called the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan that he seemed to think maybe would apply, maybe not apply. And I got that information from an individual at the Water Conservation District. And, all these things come into play. And when I don't get the right information and somebody doesn't know, or can't give me the right answer, well, then that throws up the flag.
People. I mean, all the surveyor has to do anything with is the survey of the ponds. The surveyor doesn't have anything to do with the stream work. He surveyed the ponds, but yeah, I mean, I understand. We're familiar with the stormwater permit. Our contractors are familiar with that. I've talked to them. They've assured me that they've gotten the permits or are getting the permits. So, if there's something that we missed, we'll definitely get it. But these contractors have also, I understand. If you have a problem, definitely call me. You know what I'm saying?
I do understand that. And, it seems like that might be the direct way to alleviate any concerns or any problems with myself and other people along the creek, really. And I get that. But see, I didn't have this information before. And, it really doesn't.
But we don't know who you are. We're not required to notify everybody. We notify the people upstream and downstream one property. That's all the Corps requires. We talk to the Laneharts, we talk to, Terry Tittenser,
but not Curtis Hatterley.
But he's 3 properties down. We're not required to do that.
Okay. If I were in your situation, I'd do it anyway. Because you know Curtis, right?
I will. Yeah, I'll call Curtis. I'll talk to Curtis, tell him what we're doing. I don't have a problem with that.
And
if you have a phone number for Curtis and want to want to text it to me, I'd appreciate that. That'd make it easier because I would have to look him up.
I can do that.
I'll notify Curtis. Don Allman, who's right above Curtis, he knows what we're doing. So.
And I've known Don Allman for years.
Yeah, so, Curtis may be the only guy we haven't talked to, and, we should. I agree. That's a good idea. So I'll call. If you text me his phone number, I'll call Curtis and talk to him and let him know what we're doing. And
yeah, and
that way,
and it's a small stretch. I understand that. It's, the distance from the Thane Bridge down to where it dumps into the salt is a small stretch, but that really doesn't mean anything to me. It can be 10 feet or 10 miles. It's one of the most pristine areas in the world to me. This is where I'm coming from.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I definitely understand where
And,
you're coming from.
I'm concerned with things and things done right. And, I feel better, with our conversation here. And I hope things progress along and everybody's happy. That'll be a great thing. And I'm not trying to be a fly in the ointment. Like I say, I'm not trying to inhibit anybody. I just, have concerns, and I want to make sure that things are done right, just like anybody would. And I've seen too much crap in the past. I've just seen too much. And I don't want to move up. I'm not the typical Utahn that wants to come up here and start changing everything. That's not what I'm about. I'm about wanting to keep things like they are, and or improve them for the better,
Yeah, the problem is farmers kept their cows on these streams. Flat Creek is a lot wider than it should be. There's a lot more silt in there because of all the cattle. Talk about turbidity. Don Allman's cows probably cause a heck of a lot more turbidity than we're ever going to cause.
I understand that, and I'm with you on that. And, things progress along. The only thing we can do is try to educate and try to change things for the better. And I'm all for that. And that's what I'm saying. Change things for the better, fine. But just to go in and change things, I'm not that type of a person. I'm not the typical Utahn. Okay. In fact, I'm not a Utahn anymore. I'm a resident of Wyoming.
Well, hey, I appreciate talking to you. Like I said, if you have any problems, holler at me. We'll talk about. We've permitted everything. Tried to do everything right. So I hope you don't feel like we're one of those people that's trying to just do something without going through the proper channels. Because we probably spent $30,000 or $40,000 on permits.
Yeah, and it's terrible that you have to do that. And the reason you have to do that is because of all these other son of a bitches that have been doing things wrong for so many years. And I can relate to that too. And if anything good comes out of what's going on with the Water Conservation District, I guess they're going to start doing some E. coli testing up and down the salt too. And they're going to try to convince these people of what they're doing wrong and try to help them fix it,
Well, you also got to understand the Water Conservation District, though, too. Those guys talk out of both sides of their mouth because I've tried to use them on conservation projects, and they're more interested in dams and irrigation than they are water quality and fish.
I've run into to the same thing, and I agree with you wholeheartedly on that point. And that's why nobody gets a free pass. Anybody I run into, they need to start doing their damn job. And if they don't do the job, I'll light a fire under their butt. And I don't care who they are. If they're not doing their job and doing the thing they're supposed to do, they will do it.
The Water Conservation District is ran by farmers that, the same guys that run it are the same guys who 40 years ago channelized Dry Creek and Cottonwood Creek and are causing all kinds of sediment issues in the Upper Salt River, thereby after.
Right.
And I have personally raised $100,000 of private money to fix the public salt river, some issues up there that would help it, but we can't.
You're breaking up again, but yeah, we need to all work together on it.
I understand the battle you're facing because my dad was president of Trout Unlimited chapter when it was in Star Valley for years and years. We fought these battles,
Right, right. And I can appreciate that. And it's frustrating for me because I don't have the power and ability and the backing and the money to fight those battles. So I'm glad to see somebody doing it. And but it's because of the past and the things that I've seen that has made me skeptical.
No, I totally understand that. I mean, I'm skeptical of things that Trout Unlimited does. Orvis called me up a year ago, or 2 years ago, and they said, hey, Trout Unlimited wants us to put in, $100,000 to support this project on the Salt River. They said, if you think it fits priority, we'll do it. I looked at it and I says, listen, what they're trying to do, obviously it's great, but I'd much rather take your $100,000 and put in more critical issues. They basically want to go do some things with some irrigation diversion dams up on Crow Creek, which is great. And it's like, we've got a much bigger problem that's being caused by Dry Creek and Cottonwood Creek being channelized and dumping all that sediment, and yet I can't get the Conservation District to pay attention to it. I can't get the NRCS. Last year, I called a meeting. I had the Corps of Engineers, the NRCS, the Soil Conservation District, the Game and Fish, all the powers that be, and all the landowners. I had it all called together, and they basically said, all the government agencies said, we don't want to touch this. We don't want to take responsibility. It's too big of a liability. And I'm like, okay, fine. Do what you're doing, but you're just ruining the Salt River. You're not, it's just, so trust me, I'm one who fights the battles just like you, only I have access to, massively deep pockets, and I also have political clout, but even with all that, I can only get so far. So I definitely understand the battle you're fighting.
Well, I appreciate that. And like I say, really, I'm just one guy, but if there's anything I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to. And, I don't make a lot of money, and it's not really that important to me. I live here because of quality of life and things of that nature. I'm not here to make $1 million.
I understand that. If you're going to cause heck, go cause heck with Lance Mortensen down there on that Double L Ranch where he puts in a bridge that's,
That's the one. That's the one that I'm talking about. That's the one that I've been talking about. It's right down there by the new public fishing area on this side of the river, down on the end there. Yeah.
Yeah, see, he put his bridge too well, and Wayne Baker, who builds those bridges, he puts them in. Wayne's building a bridge for us on our project, and I says, listen, that bridge is going to be 6 feet high because me as a boater, I have a tall drift boat. I don't want a problem getting underneath there with my drift boat. So I understand the height of bridges and all that, and, but Lance Mortensen, he wanted it to just look like, he didn't care about fishermen. He was trying to sell real estate, and he caused a problem for everybody.
Right. That's the exact, and that's the one I couldn't remember the name of. And, like I say, I was raised in, not an area this small, but still a small, ranching, farming community, Grantsville, Utah, hardworking people. And one thing that I learned growing up out there is if it looks like shit and it smells like shit, it's probably shit. And that's what that Double L looks like all over the place down there. I mean, you're giving them more credit just...
It caused all kinds of problems. And there's a developer further downstream than that caused a huge core violation this last year that basically, de-watered all that wildlife refuge down there. So, these real estate developers, they don't know what they're doing. But,
their main...
We're not real estate developers.
Yeah.
We're fisheries.
Yeah.
And we do fish habitat.
Right.
I've never once in my entire life subdivided a piece of ground or been involved on a project that subdivided a piece of ground. Every project I've done has been conservation based and targeted towards fish. And even wildlife. On these ponds, we purposely followed a plan we went out of our way, and it probably cost us another $20,000 or more to put in these islands on this pond that make ideal swan nesting habitat. So, we're conservationists, and we're trying to do the right thing. Now, granted, we're human and we're all bound to screw up one time or another, but our intentions are good, and we think we have good science behind us, so.
Right, right. Well, it goes the other.
We have a lot of years of success, I mean, these Orvis properties in the Upper Valley, I'll tell you, they just fish. Unbelievable.
Right, right. Well, it goes all the way around, and I understand all that, but this is why that I'm concerned about things like that. And on the other hand, you're more than welcome to call me anytime, as far as issues with the double L or people like that, because I do know how to push buttons. I do know who to go to and raise shit, and I don't mind doing it, and I have no problem.
I know you don't, because I got calls from every agency that we had permits with. They said, just so you know, you're upsetting some neighbors. But that's okay. I'm glad you did it. Hey, it's good there's people out there watching out, and I'm glad you did. Luckily, we were permitted,
And that's great, and that's fantastic, and that's, like I say, my objective wasn't not to screw with anybody or try to be a jerk or anything like that. My objective was to try to avoid things that we've been talking about, and we've all seen them, and we all know they suck, and it's time to put an end to it. And the same goes for them. It doesn't matter who they are, what developer they come from, or what planet or what rock they crawl out of. I don't care. I don't intimidate. Period. Not easy, not hard. I am not intimidated by anybody. And so, anybody like that doesn't toe the line, I live here now. So they better watch out, because I know how to raise hell, and I will do it. And, the double L is on my list, I guarantee you.
Hey, will you text me Curtis's phone number, and I'll call him next week. I'm going to be out of town the next couple days, but I'd like to visit with him and let him know what we're doing. I think that's a good suggestion.
I will. I'll and I don't think he'll mind. Usually I ask permission, but he knows everybody, and he knows what's going on too. And I'll tell you what, just for one single landowner and what he's done on his own, I don't know if you've been down in that area lately. He's done a phenomenal job with that area. He has very. Yeah, he's really, and this is just my personal experience. Like I say, I loved his father and his mother. I loved Lamar and Edith. They were some of the best people on the planet. But Curtis has done some things to clean up that property, and things that Lamar did down there weren't really too shiny at times. But I still love him to death, but he was old school, and when Curtis took that property over, it's just, like I say, I have never seen it look better than it is right now down there. And that was my objective mainly, is to see that it doesn't go back the other way, and if we have to put up with smaller browns for a while because there's no shit coming from the Swiss cheese factory, well, hopefully some of the things that you're doing will encourage growth for those browns, and we can get back into that situation.
Sounds good. Well, good talking to you, Gene.
All right. Have a great night. Take care. Bye. Fucking tired.